Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for Fairfield County Virtual Community. This morning we have Katie Harper, and she is the Outreach Coordinator for the Office of the Ohio Attorney General. She's going to be giving a presentation today about consumer scams. And Katie, I'm just going to have people put questions into the chat, and then we can open up for more questions. We can open up for people to unmute at the end. So I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Well, good morning. Thank you for having me today. I'll bring my PowerPoint up here in just a moment. All right, here we go. Yes, I'm Katie Harper from the Ohio Attorney General's Office, Consumer Protection Section. We have offices in Richfield, our Police Officer Training Academy, and in London, our Bureau of Criminal Investigations. These are both different offices that support law enforcement efforts. So what is consumer protection? We enforce laws and ensure that there's a safe marketplace for consumers in areas of like buying a used car, seeing a store advertisement. So when you see those great clearance sales or buy one, get one free advertisements, we make sure that the stores are actually honoring those advertisements. And home improvement work as well. We also have a dispute resolution section where if you find that you feel like you've been treated unfairly by a business, you can contact our office through our 800 number or our website, which I'll share that at the end of the presentation, and submit a consumer complaint. So these are some of the items from last year of our most common complaints. Motor vehicles usually is the top number. And in general, our motor vehicle complaints have to do with not receiving the title to your vehicle in the 40-day period that you should after purchase. Other things, hopefully this will not top our complaint for 2021, were coronavirus related. So whether it was price gouging on N95 masks or kind of snake oil salesman type cure-alls, but other things that are more common, shopping, food or beverage, things like property or home improvement, and utilities, phone or internet services. So if you find that you feel like there's something that you would like clarity, feel free to contact our office in this area. We also have an economic crimes unit, and that unit supports local law enforcement. So if they don't maybe have the bandwidth to track down scammers, we can assist them in that area. And the unit that probably everybody was excited to see, our Robocall enforcement unit. If you have a home phone or a mobile phone, you're probably familiar with receiving a lot of unwanted calls. So we put together this enforcement unit with the idea of hopefully tracking back to the source a lot of those unwanted calls and getting those call centers shut down. So why robocalls? Well, the difficulty is there are some legal robocalls and are very useful, like reminder calls from your doctor's office reminding you of appointments, or if there's a weather-related incident at your school and that school will be closed. Illegal robocalls are calls you haven't consented to, or people just trying to sell you things. So in order to kind of really understand the larger area of consumer scams, watch out for these kind of building blocks of a scam. The number one thing is if someone's asking you to pay for a gift card for a service that you normally wouldn't use a gift card, that's the number one red flag. Like, you should be suspicious if someone calls and says, you know, you need to pay off a debt to the IRS with an Amazon gift card. If you were ever going to pay your taxes or communicate with the IRS, an Amazon gift card probably isn't the first payment method you think of. So keep that in mind. Requests for personal information. Again, anyone who is contacting you and asking you for your personal information, that's a red flag. You don't need to share that with anyone. And by personal information, we need, your first, last name, your social security number, your banking information, or your home address. Any pressure to act immediately. And for whatever reason, generally the time period is 24 hours. If, for whatever the caller is asking you to do, saying you have to do it within 24 hours or there'll be some kind of punitive action, that's another red flag. And then keeping requests to keep the conversation a secret. This is generally found in our romance scams and our family and friends scams. This kind of group is the too good to be true group. If they're calling and saying, say, a work from home scam, all you have to do is assemble envelopes and you can make up to $5,000 a month, guaranteeing to make a lot of money for something that you don't really think is worth that amount, that's a good indication it's a scam. Requests for a large down payment. This is typically found in our home improvement scams. So be wary of anyone, if they're doing work on your home, who's asking for more than 25% upfront. Either no contract or nothing written into the contract. If someone's trying to get you to sign a contract that's incomplete, not only could it be a scam, you could end up paying a lot more than you intended to. And then sending money out of the country. In our foreign lottery scams, that's kind of easy to see, but it can be a little more difficult in some of the other scams. So the imposter scam. The imposter scam is generally when someone is pretending to be someone from either the government or law enforcement. And most recently, we've seen people pretending to be COVID-19 tracers, trying to get your personal information. But the most common is generally either the IRS or Social Security. In the IRS scam, someone will call and say, hi, I'm from the IRS. We've noticed that your filing has been delayed and you need to confirm with me your Social Security number and banking information to make sure that your claim has gone through. Otherwise, you could be fined or imprisoned. Well, the IRS doesn't reach out to people in that manner, and neither does Social Security. Both agencies are very busy processing the claims that they already have. So if you are going to hear from the IRS or Social Security due to a problem with your account, it will be, a letter in the mail in a plain white envelope that clearly lays out the issue before you. So if someone is calling you claiming to be from pretty much any branch of the federal government, politely decline the call. And then if you're really concerned that maybe it was a legitimate call, find the number to your local either IRS or Social Security office independently from any message you had received from that initial call and give them a call. So that's our imposter scam. scroll down and look and see if we have anything. Nope. Okay. Fake check scam. So some of the ways that you can be involved in a fake check scam, generally, if you're buying or selling something online, and say you're selling an old sofa and you've advertised the price since it was a really nice, maybe leather sleepaway sofa, $500 for the sofa. And you're just excited to get it out of your house. And someone calls and says, yes, I'm very interested in your sofa. How much would you like? And they say, well, I'll send, you say 500. I say, great. Can I send you a check? If you agree to take the check, when you receive it, most likely the check will be written for, say, $600 or $650. And you being the responsible and nice seller that you are, point out to them that they've overpaid you. At this point, the scammer will say, oh my gosh, darn it, I must have gotten the price wrong. I bought 2 things that day. Just send me the $150 back and there's no problem. Well, that's how the scam works, them getting the $150 out of you. Because when you go to cash that check, it's not going to clear. So if you are receiving a check as payment for something you're selling, a couple of things you can do are to call the bank that's issuing it to verify that there are funds behind that check. And then the red flag in this story is the person asking to send a portion of the funds back to you. So don't ever send off a portion of the funds for any reason. And I'll leave this up for just a few moments so you can review it. And here are some of the areas where you can detect if it's a fake check. Things like at the top right corner, does that check number match the check number that is at the bottom of the check? Are all of the words spelled correctly? Company name or address? Does it feel a little light? Is it flimsy in texture? And in this example from the Better Business Bureau, this is part of a fake lottery scam. So they're questioning, if you're supposed to be winning the lottery, why is it from Word Forest National Bank and not the Lottery Commission? You can also look at the routing numbers. So here are a number of ways to identify a fake check. Prizes and sweepstakes scam. This is kind of one of the aw shucks moments, because who doesn't like the idea of just having this great windfall come out of nowhere, right? All of a sudden you receive this packet in the mail that's telling you you're an accidental millionaire. One of the ways that fake lotteries, prizes, or sweepstakes get you is you have a bunch of paperwork to fill out, you send it in, you get the second envelope in the mail, and it says, in order to reserve your spot as, one of the potential top 5 winners, you'll be guaranteed a prize. But in order to reserve that spot, you need to pay, say, $1,000, or it may be $100. And they will call this a processing fee, or say that you have to pay the taxes up front. That's one of the major red flags for this type of scam. So just make sure you don't pay any advance fees or taxes to receive a prize. And the largest bummer of them all, if you didn't enter, you probably didn't win. Romance and sweetheart scams. These generally are initiated over social media. And one of the more prominent ways these scams start out is with a fake profile. So it may be a fake profile on a specific dating website, or just in, a group forum on Facebook or Instagram that you're both following the same type of things. What the people who are behind this will do is put up a fake profile picture. Many times it will be someone representing themselves as part of the armed services. This is convenient in a couple ways for the scammer. One, there are a number of pictures of people in uniform posted online, so it's easy to kind of screen grab that image. And the other is in availability. They can say, well, I would love to come see you, but I'm stationed across the country. Romance and sweetheart scams generally start off slow and then build up really quickly. So maybe a few innocent inquiries about where are you from or what are your interests. They start to, get to know you, and then at some point will ask you for money. And it might not feel like they're asking you for money directly. It may come in the form of, if you both say like a certain charity. So, I would really love to support that charity. Why don't we match funds? Or it may be more direct after they've been talking to you and say, well, I'd really love to meet you in person. I just don't have enough money to fly and see you. So in general, be aware of someone you have only met online. And they may also tell you not to tell your friends about them. Say, they wouldn't understand our relationship. They'll think I'm taking advantage of you. But really, I'm the only person who calls you every day or messages you every day, and I have your best interests in mind. So do a little research. Look and see if you can find their profile picture under a different name on different sites. Make sure you do, I call it use the buddy system. Talk to friends or family about any online relationship that you may have started that seems to be getting a little more serious, particularly if they start asking you for money. So just in general, don't send money to someone you've only met online. Phishing and spoofing. These are two kind of tactics of how scammers get your personal information. So phishing is generally when someone sends you an email address and they're pretending to be, I know there's an Amazon one that's been going on around a lot lately, or potentially from your financial institution. So when you open that email, it looks pretty legitimate. And in either case, whether it be from Amazon or from your bank, the letter will state that there's been a problem with your account and you need to click and follow a certain link to correct it. This is how they start getting your personal information. So don't ever click on a link that is sent to you in an email. If you want to check in with your financial institution, give them a call on a number that you know to be correct. Or in the case of the Amazon email, just log on to your Amazon account and check recent activity. You don't need to respond to anything that's sent to you in email correspondence that way. Spoofing is when you receive phone calls or text messages that appear to be from one number when they're really from another. So the spoofing part is that technology is what allows the caller to misrepresent the phone number that they're calling from. Kind of one of the funnier examples of that is hearing from people that are getting a phone call from their own phone number. So obviously that isn't correct. Home improvement scams. we're a little past the time of year. It's usually in the spring that this will come, and people will come door to door and say, hi, I noticed that your front porch needs a little work, or you may need some gutters or replace your siding. Whatever the moment may be, is they are bringing their business to you. If you decide to do this, we always suggest that no matter who it is, that you check with the Better Business Bureau and also check at the Secretary of State's office to see if they are a licensed business. Once you get that out of the way, make sure you don't pay anything for any service, pay in full upfront. That can just be too tempting for some people. Also, if you decide you change your mind on it, any door-to-door sales, you have 3 days for a right to cancel that service. And again, as we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, with regards to contracts, make sure you get a fully completed contract. Computer repair scam. So this one can be particularly damaging. In general, you'll receive a call or an email, or it could even be a pop-up saying that your antivirus software is out of date. And I have an example of a gentleman who fell for the computer repair scam. He lives in the eastern part of the state. He received a phone call that said, sir, your antivirus software is out of date, and if you don't update it, you are really susceptible to computer crashes and potentially identity thieves. So he was concerned about this and not really technically savvy. So he said, okay, well, what do I need to do? And the caller on the other end of the line said, well, just read me the serial number off the back of your computer so I can access your computer and run a test on it. And of course, as soon as the scammer was given access to the computer, he downloaded some malware onto that computer, which made it look like there was a virus attack. So this, of course, really concerned the gentleman. And of course, the scammer was right there with the solution and said, that's okay. I can run a test on it for a couple $100 and make sure that your computer is completely clean. You can just read off your credit card number to me. It'll take about a half an hour to run the program, turn your computer off, turn it back on, and all of this will be gone. Well, because the scammer was the person who was the person to put that virus on the computer, they were also able to remove it. And the scammer used that half an hour period to go through all the other files on the gentleman's computer. Unfortunately for the gentleman, he had his online banking information and a file on there, and the scammer was able to withdraw $35,000 from his account. This didn't, excuse me, raise any red flags because the scammer was coming through the user's computer and had his username and password. So don't ever allow remote access to your computer for someone who is soliciting computer work from you. And just because someone is calling you and assuming you have a computer, one, they don't know you have a computer. And if they're calling you on the phone, they have no idea if your computer has a virus or not. Another great resource that you can get some more information on this is staysafeonline.org. Phony charities are another thing to watch out for when it comes to being scammed. Unfortunately, scammers really prey on the individual's generosity. And one of the areas that happens in phony charities is they'll call and maybe they've done a little research on the local donors for the American Red Cross. And they will call and say, Hi, I'm from America's Red Cross, and I've noticed you've been a donor before. We would like to tell you it's the new drive. Well, particularly if your phone connection isn't that great, or if the person on the other end of the line is a little hard of hearing, they may not have noticed that the caller said America's Red Cross rather than the American Red Cross. So they'll use a similar name to draw people in. Watch in particular if the caller starts getting really aggressive about receiving a donation. Any kind of threatening language or trying to pressure you into feeling that if you don't make this donation today, the organization may be at risk, or some individual may be at risk. So watch for any of those kind of high pressure tactics. Verify the legitimacy of the charity. Charities are required to register with our office and the Secretary of State's office. So you can look up the charity online at either location. And in the Secretary of State's office, you can also check out a little bit to see how much of your contribution will go to administrative or overhead costs and how much goes directly to the mission of the charity. So it's always good to be informed as to where you're putting your money. And again, on our website, and I'll give you just a moment to copy that down if you would like. You can go to www.ohioattorneygeneral.gov/business/charity to do a little research on any charity that you may be interested in contributing to. Some of our other common scams include job opportunity scams. So be particularly cautious about recruiting emails that require some form of specified training to go with the job. So say you are applying for a telemarketing job and you're looking through all the resources and they say, well, you need to take a 4-week class on communication and it has to be through this specific company. That is something to research, because with those type of job opportunity scams, the scam is they just want to have more people in their training and they were never really intending on offering you the job. Advance fee and grant scams. Again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with our fake check scam. You shouldn't ever have to pay up front to be able to receive a loan or a grant. There may be, in some legitimate grants, a small registration fee, but these are generally, when these scams come across, saying that you have to pay a certain percentage of the loan or the grant, and then you'll receive that on the back end. So be very wary of anything that's asking for you to pay upfront when applying for a loan or a grant. Social media scams. This could be anywhere from fake products, products saying, you can lose 50 pounds in 10 days by just taking 3 pills. Now that's an exaggeration, but there are a number of products out on social media that are misrepresenting the actual ability to do what they say they're going to do. So make sure, if you're looking to buy products online, to do your research. You can do that either with the Better Business Bureau, some other products with the Federal Trade Commission. Since we've been talking about scams, it also kind of goes hand in hand with identity theft, because if you become a victim of a scam, most likely that scammer will have a lot of your personal identifiable information. So we want to make sure that you are aware of those type of things when it comes to identity theft. Right before we go in there, I will check our chat room. Okay. Scott, I don't have any evidence for, the question is, I know the elderly are scams that are targeted toward them. Is there any evidence of specific scams that target people with disabilities? I have not personally seen that, but I can check with a couple of my co-presenters and see if they have any evidence of that. And if they do, we'll get back to you. And yes, there are also dating scams online. All right, we'll check back in with identity theft. So identity theft occurs when a person obtains and uses your personal information without your permission. So we emphasize obtains and uses because both of those actions have to occur together for it to be identity theft. As you may see in sometimes, usually around the holidays, occasionally a store that issues their own credit card will put out a warning that there's been a data breach and they're reissuing credit cards. The difference between that and identity theft would be, in a data breach, usually it's just the credit card number that would be needed. Identity theft, you would need the name, the address, the social security number, the credit card number, your the little code on the back, and the expiration date. So you would need all of that information. Some of the warning signs of identity theft are all of a sudden you're being denied credit. There are unauthorized charges either on your credit card or in your bank account. You have debt collectors contacting you. If you're receiving unfamiliar bills or not receiving a bill you should be, that's a warning sign. And errors on your credit report, which leads us to annualcreditreport.com. I would suggest anyone who hasn't checked their credit report in the last year to do so. Currently, for the next year, also annual credit report until I believe it's either March or April of 2022 is allowing you to check your credit report pretty much as you'd like to, rather than the just once a year for free previously. Some of the other areas to reduce your risk of identity theft include not volunteering your personal identifiable information, shredding any documents that has that information on it prior to disposal, making sure you're monitoring your financial statements, creating a mail schedule, particularly if you're like me. Some of my bills come via US mail. Some of them I have automatically withdrawn from my account, and some of them I do online. So just kind of keeping a schedule of when you expect to be paying things and the method you're paying it is a good idea. And then not carrying extra personal identifiable information with you. Excuse me, such as your social security card. If you have your driver's license or your state ID and your social security card in your wallet and it happens to be stolen or you lose it, that's pretty much a starter kit for identity theft. Some online safety tips include be aware of unknown attachments, downloads, and pop-ups, and I'll add, just don't click on them. If you don't know why you're getting an email with an attachment or you see a pop-up on your computer screen, just don't click on it. And make sure that you yourself are keeping your antivirus and anti-spyware programs up to date. I'm going to let you look at this screen for just a moment to give you an example of how good scam websites can be. We pulled this example, and if you've ever been on the unemployment website, you'll see what an excellent job the scammers have done. Really, they've taken all of the graphics over and taken you to basically the second step of unemployment, where if you were actually filing for unemployment, you would have received a letter in the mail that gave you instructions on your first login and PIN number in that letter. So this is taking you to the second step. And the only thing that's really different is if you look at the top, there are dashes in between unemployment, Ohio, and gov, where, as you see in green, the real website is unemploymenthelp.ohio.gov. So make sure, particularly when looking at links or doing searches, that you have the correct website. And this can go for online banking and other types of sensitive information websites as well. So some of our additional online safety tips. When thinking about purchasing items online, we suggest a credit card over a debit card. Credit cards have more consumer protection to them, whereas debit cards, you are taking that money directly out of your bank account, so it's more difficult to get it returned if you have a disputed purchase item. Make sure you use secure websites. You'll see HTTPS, and you'll also see a little lock on them. Make sure you think critically about what items you're accessing if you are on public Wi-Fi. So if you're on your phone or your computer, think about what would normally be password protected. So definitely don't ever access online banking information, but even things, like Facebook or your email. If you had to press in a code to get to that app, you're now pretty much sharing that app with everyone who is on that public Wi-Fi. So just think about what you're accessing if you're using public Wi-Fi. And make sure that your password reset questions are up to date. And if, say, you are coordinating the name of, your pet and your grandchild in your security questions. If you spend a lot of time on social media talking about your pet and your grandchild, that might not be the best combination of passwords. So think about, a phrase that you would remember, but maybe you don't share a lot of information about publicly. And then this is something that we pulled from an article from Reader's Digest that just found it to be interesting. It was from an article, Anonymous Confessions of a Con Artist, and kind of walk through how he chose his victims. You say victims don't ask a lot of questions, they answer a lot of questions. They don't read the paperwork, they wait for you to tell them what it says. And they don't look why an offer is too good to be true, or they don't look why an offer is a scam. They look for an offer that will make them money. Here's kind of a little wrap up that I'll put up here to just kind of go over what we've talked about in the presentation today. So be skeptical, do your research. Don't give out information to strangers that's private to you. And of course, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably would. Remember not to send money via gift card or wire transfers for services you wouldn't normally pay for in that manner. Keep your personal information that you carry around to a minimum. And don't allow a stranger remote access to your computers. If you would like to, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, file a consumer complaint or get more information about the topics that I've talked about today, you can go to www.ohioprotects.org. And that's what our complaint form looks like. Or you could call us at 800-282-0515. Okay. And I just want to check and see if there are any additional questions.
Katie, I have a question about texts. So I know phone calls, we talked about that, but I get texts. Literally, I got 2 while we were sitting here that want you to click on a link and go to a site. And a lot of them are like weight loss related and things like that. Is there a difference in how you should handle that, or just delete that?
Just delete it the same way you would an email.
Okay, I get those more often than emails, I think.
Yeah, I've started to get, and I'm not sure why, maybe it's because I have a 614 phone number for my cell phone, a number of texts from Huntington Bank telling me that my account has a problem or whatever. Well, I don't bank with Huntington, so I, of course, know that that is a scam, but also be aware that, scammers can just send out, if Huntington's the most prominent local bank in your area code, like maybe they would send out, if mine was 513, maybe they'd send it out for Fifth Third, or, Cleveland, a different bank. So be aware of those kind of things for text messages as well.
Okay, I don't have any other questions in the chat. If anyone's on the call and they would like to ask a question, feel free to unmute. No. Okay, I'll wait. Oh, Kristen said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for listening.
Okay, well, if no one has any questions, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. That's a lot of really valuable information, and I'm sure people will watch the recording and be able to find that information as well. I also wanted to let you guys know next Thursday, on Virtual Community will be Visit Fairfield County, and they have a lot of information about summer activities that are going on locally. And then also the following week, we will not have a call because I will be on vacation. So that's what's coming up. So I think that's it for today. So Katie, again, thank you, and everyone have a great rest of your day.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.